Let's talk herd. Yeah, I want to know how Serafina reacted to the others. Like, because she was obviously on her own for a while. I don't know if she was always on her own.
Well, there were other boarders on this place, so
Ah,
she did
okay.
see other horses.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was very, I believe, she was very closed down
Mm.
when this person first got her,
Yeah.
because of her experiences, and she's beautiful, and she's actually on the place where she is, which is called Starlight Meadows. The farm is called
That's cool.
Starlight Meadows.
Yeah.
There is another Percheron filly of the same age,
Wow.
and they have, and she's called
Oh
Brahati,
my God.
and she's very lovely, very beautiful. And they have obviously formed a little, Percheron duo, and they're going to be
That's
quite
amazing.
a powerful,
Yeah.
yeah, presence, the two of them
They really
together.
do seek out each
Yeah.
other. So do you think that there's something that they're going to create together? Because it's quite unusual for someone to just decide, that they're going into horses.
Yeah,
Do you think there's going to be something,
yeah,
coming out of it?
definitely, 100%. Yeah, definitely. We just don't know what that is yet, and so we are, uh, yeah, just facilitating their unfolding.
So what does she
You
at the
know,
moment? What does she actually? Does she
yeah.
spend time with them, or
So
what does she sort of do with them?
she's just spending time with them, getting to
Yeah,
know them, looking after them. She's been through many. I mean, really, you should be having this conversation with her, and I
yeah,
think she might like that. So I
yeah.
could
That would be
connect you, and
interesting. Yeah.
you could have a conversation with her. It's very lovely, uh, and she's called her operation Heart Song
Ah,
Horses,
that's beautiful, isn't it?
and
Yeah,
she is. Yes, and we're hoping in the spring. I'm hoping to go back out there in the spring and begin to offer some, introductory sort of workshops.
mm,
Very gentle introduction for the horses as well
yeah,
to the work. So we're hoping to do
yeah,
that. So this time is about, it's about preparation and
yeah.
becoming familiar with, yeah. And she's been through many challenges already. Uh, you know,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
quite a jump, isn't it, from no horses
yeah,
to 6 horses and 7
definitely.
if you count the other Percheron. Yeah,
Yeah. And does she feel quite a heavy weight of
yeah,
responsibility looking after them?
absolutely, she does. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely, she does. Yeah, yeah. But
yeah,
what's really fascinating for me, and you've touched on this a couple of times this morning, is how our external world mirrors our internal world,
mm,
and
yeah,
vice versa. So, for me, I know absolutely that my evolution with the horses has been my evolution with me,
mm,
and
yeah,
how I'm changing my, approach to relating to the horses is mirrored by how I'm changing my approach to my relationship with me.
yes, yeah,
They're giving me that,
totally.
living with the horses and adapting to what they need and moving with the change in perspective that's happening, is
Mm,
meaning that I'm having to take that within also,
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
and and you spoke just now when you were saying about when you decided that, you know, the BHS exam, and you weren't going to, you know, that wasn't going to be how you operated,
Yeah.
a void opened. A void opened. So what am I going to do then? You know,
Yeah.
if you take riding out of the equation, what am I going to do? Isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, and
Yeah.
for me recently, I've been really watching my emotional flow of, you know, and how my emotions are triggered. And I've been working with
Yeah.
people who are coming to me with anxiety at the moment. Anxiety seems to be
Yeah.
the thing that people
Yeah,
are
that's
speaking.
true.
And,
Yes. Yes.
and I had a conversation with a young woman about it. And I found myself saying to her, what if you don't call it anxiety? What if you don't
Yeah.
name it that? What if you
Yes.
say instead, I'm having these physical sensations in my body. You know, this is happening in my solar plexus, or this is happening in my throat, or whatever. And you don't say, oh my God, I'm anxious because I'm having to move house and I'm starting a new job and blah, 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 blah. And you don't do that. You just notice the sensations, and
Yeah.
you say
Yeah.
instead, you know, I'm going to be moving house, and these sensations are a preparation for that. It's just a
Exactly.
preparation.
Yeah.
It's going to move
Yeah.
house. It's going to take energy, right?
Yeah.
Maybe it's just energy moving in your body to
Yeah.
prepare for what you need to do. Once you label it anxiety or anger or jealousy or grief or joy or whatever, then the narrative
Yeah.
starts, and you're off
Exactly.
on
Yeah.
and away on a story,
Yeah.
and you're gone, and you know, and it's, you know what I mean, it's taking you into realms of delusion or unreality.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And as well as that, yeah, you're also fixing in what it's there for. You know, if it is, like you say, if you think of it as being there as a preparation, then it's going to change, and you're going to kind of get that out of it. Whereas if you think it's anxiety, it's not going to help you. It's just
Yeah,
going to be
yeah, yeah.
fixed in that box of anxiety that just, yeah, it really is. It's like, I suppose all of those feelings are, they are a potential. They're a potential for whatever we allow them to be. And I suppose you could think that they're all there to support us.
Yeah. They're you know, messengers. They're like the Rumi poem, you know,
Yeah.
this being human is a guest house.
Yeah.
Every morning a new arrival, you know,
Yes.
and be grateful for whoever comes, because each is sent as a guide from
So
beyond, he
true.
says, you know, and
It's that, yeah, that
exactly,
being
isn't it?
present.
But you know, so then I've been like following that in my mind, and I've been thinking, okay, so if we do that, if we don't
Yeah.
name these sensations anxiety,
Hmm.
what then happens? And you know, I realized that there's a void that happens then. A void opens up, because
Yeah.
suddenly we are without our
Hmm.
narrative. We are without the mind's description of our world. And so, what is our world then?
Yeah.
Who is describing it? Is there a description?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and that's how, you know, that's what I'm seeing in our relationship with horses, as we move away from this notion that they are here for us
Yeah.
to, you know, to provide us with transport, or to carry us into war, or to take us into competition, or to give us pleasure. If all of that is
Yeah.
taken
Yeah.
away, then what is it that we're here? Well, what
Yeah.
is that? You
Do you know,
know?
it really reminds me of, I did this, I had a psychedelic experience the other day because I've wanted to do that for a while. I'm not a drug person at all, but just interested me, the spiritual journey that you can have. And what you're saying really reminds me, I mean, it was amazing, and there was like so many layers and so much to it, but one of the fundamental messages was that the ego, or what you're describing, that kind of foundational layer, that how we describe things and our sense of ourself in things and all of that, that is like the first dimension. It's very important. It's almost like the womb. And it came clear in this journey that it was the mother of this quantum leap of consciousness, where when you really allow that, in a way it's a void, but in a way the void allows the quantum leap, because you're saying there is more than this layer. This layer is the beginning. It's like the fertile soil, or it's where things germinate. And then when you allow that, there's just this quantum leap into this new dimension, which is, and I'd kind of thought of it in my mind as beyond the self, that then it's the source and it's soul and it's God. But actually it's not. It comes through the self. So it's like infused with who we are. It's infused with that first layer, which is us, like me. But it's so much more. It's like this amazing, it's a different dimension. And I think that's what happens when you open that void, is that you do this leap, and then that's when all the other understanding comes, and just the greater perspective, I suppose. So yeah, it was really, it's really powerful to do that, I think. And that, I suppose, is that's what you do when you meditate, or when you become present, or just listen, or that's all pointing to that, really.
Yeah.
I did want to go back to something, because when I asked you if the lady in America, if she had a lot of sense of responsibility for the horses, it actually reminded me of how I used to have that, like how that was it was very heavy, and it was almost crushing at times. And it was something that I'd had for a long time, because it was like all of these horses, rely on me. And I just realized when I asked you that I don't have that feeling anymore. And I think it's probably dissolved as I've allowed that the horses are responsible for themselves. So I wonder if that's something that everyone has to go through, or if some people are just more, when they take less responsibility from the beginning because they allow the horses to have more. I don't know. What do you think about that? Do you feel that with your horses?
I think what is happening for this lady is that, she is feeling that weight of responsibility, like, just as you describe, like it's overwhelming. It's a crushing sense of responsibility. I think if you spoke to her, she would absolutely be in agreement with you about that. And this is her personal journey. This is her personal inner journey too.
Yeah.
So, in a sense, I think what I'm seeing, with her, is that, in a sense, it doesn't matter when you come to the horse work. When you come, you're still going to bring your stuff, and you will still need to make that journey with yourself, alongside your horses.
Yeah.
So that you can be, whatever that word is, ready, prepared to offer the work out there. You can't, as we know, as everybody knows, you can't be teaching somebody something that you don't know yourself.
Exactly.
You can't heal someone. You can't offer healing or repair unless you've been there yourself. And so, yeah, and she's working with that. I know that she's working with that right now. Because when she first took on these horses, she had a sense that they had to be fed every day. She had to bring them. She had to bring them all in from the field. She had to put them in stables. She had to give them feed. She had to give them hay. She had to groom them. She had to pick out their feet every day. Wow, she was doing
that whole thing.
and she almost killed herself in the doing of that. And she was talking about giving it all up because she was making this huge and unnecessary rod for her back.
And so many people actually do that for years.
So this also,
yeah,
as you said, my goodness, I was there. I did the thing of, working all day, teaching all day in a school, rushing to my horse, mucking out his stable, grooming him, feeding him, la la la. I never had time to be with the horse.
Oh, I know. I mean, I think my energy of my youth was spent like that, like hours and hours of getting the stables ready. And, I mean, God, it was exhausting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. How I've experienced that, is the thing of, Linda Kahanov speaks of, the art of not doing, the art of not doing, Wu Wei, the art of not doing.
Yes,
and,
it is.
we so many of us have been afraid of just being, of just saying to the horse, here I am, let's be together, It's an avoidant thing, right? Let's do. It's an avoidance.
Yeah.
It's you avoiding you.
And I think that goes further.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's in everything in our lives. Like I think that's why a lot of us have jobs that are very structured, and we really struggle to just, I think, to allow ourselves to be inspired instead of motivated by, fear of being lazy and not doing enough and wasting our lives. And when you stop and say, right, I'm going to do what feels good, it's actually quite hard to do that, because there's that guilt. And I think that's conditioned by the society, because we're conditioned from when we're little kids in school. It has to be this torturous routine. And because if you think of our whole world's like that, our whole world has got enough resources for us all just to do what we enjoy doing and be happy, but we can't seem to do that, Yeah. So I think the horses they're definitely a really powerful way to learn about our inner journey.
And they are not the only way by any means. Everybody is on their personal journey, and whatever, modalities they're coming through.
Absolutely.
Millions out there.
Yeah. And I was thinking about, because I did a podcast the other day with Mary Walby, she does horse hospice and natural death. And it's the same thing there. It's like we want to impose our concept of how it should be very strongly, especially with horses and euthanasia, because she feels that that's just a lot of the time it's really it's unnecessary, and it's not respecting the natural process. And it's the same there. It's like being able to just not do something, just to give that space, that void, as you say.
Yeah. To go against the norm, isn't it? Yeah.
on that scale of like how you feel responsible for your horses and where are you on that?
Oh, yeah. I am. I well, what first occurs to me is the fact that I share that responsibility with the team of people that work with me. So it's
Yes.
not all down to me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
there are others who share that responsibility, and most of my horses have a person who kind of loans them.
Okay. Yeah.
So each horse has a particular person
Like a sponsor.
who comes most days and has interaction with them and looks after them, takes them, whatever they're doing with them. So the responsibility is shared. I don't experience a sort of daily huge sense of responsibility for them. I I know that I am not responsible for everything about them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They have their own. Again, each individual horse has its own journey and its own relationship with the creator, with the life force.
Yeah.
And I'm not responsible for that. They're with me and they're kept in a confined 10 acres that's bounded by fences, so they can't, so I have to feed them. I have to provide them. If there's snow on the ground, we're out there
Yeah.
putting hay out for them, and I make sure they see the farrier regularly. So I honor that sort of mundane
Yeah.
daily responsibility.
Yeah. There's a requirement.
But for their ultimate essence, I am not responsible.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that is the quantum leap, isn't it? Because when we're in our ego about it, we think we are responsible for other people's lives. And I think that's maybe true of parents with children. I can't talk personally for that, but it seems like that to me. Like if you can take that quantum leap into a different, like a more source informed perspective, then you realize that it's not all down to you, that everyone is responsible for their own consciousness and their own lives, really.
Yeah.
It's very powerful, I think, when people make
Yeah.
that shift.
Yeah. It's a huge, it's a huge shift if we can be in the place of awareness that we are responsible for ourselves,
Yes. Yeah.
but we are not responsible for every others,
Yeah.
and that takes us into the whole, realm of fixing and rescuing people
Yeah.
and animals, and that's another thing that's really up for me at the moment is observing when people are so identified with being the rescuer
Yes.
and they wade into situations, to rescue someone or an animal, and they make the situation worse.
Yeah, that's
Actually,
huge.
I'm
Yeah.
watching a particular situation like that unfolding at the moment, and yeah, it's very, the emotion that's triggered for me in that is frustration. I'm frustrated in the observing of that. But what if I don't call it frustration? It's
Yeah.
just an activation around.
Yeah. It's so powerful that I remember I read Nikki Mackay's book. She was like the first kind of horse whisperer, animal communicator that I came across when I don't know, I think I was about 18 or something. And I was fascinated with Spoken in Whispers, it's called. And what really struck me was how non-judgmental her approach was. And that even if a situation seemed like you could really say, my God, why are they looking after that horse like that? And why are they doing that? It's really bad. But she was like, just so in the place of they need each other and they're doing this together and they're in this journey together, and it's really powerful, what they are giving each other. So it's not about that. I think that is quite an unawakened viewpoint, that somehow you can come in and you're needed to fix things, and you're needed to make something better that might not even be like, there might not even be a problem. Like I've got one of my little dogs, the little Italian greyhounds, is blind. I mean, he's not 100% blind, but he's pretty blind. And he's really he's a really tough little creature, and he's really kind of in charge of his world. And I remember someone that I met once was very, in that kind of getting into that rescuing animals thing. And she said, oh, I wish we could take him. And just, there wasn't any reason. Like, it wasn't as if I don't think she even thought about what his life actually was, but it was just because she thought he needed rescuing because he was blind. But she didn't seem to see that for him, the blindness isn't a handicap even, because he manages very well. And I don't think he doesn't know really that he's got a handicap. So yeah, it's like, it is how you feel about yourself, I think, ultimately, isn't it? That if you feel that, like it's a syndrome.
Because, what we see is that, people who, and this sounds judgmental, but I am not coming from a place of judgment. I'm coming from an observational place.
Yeah.
That those who have a preoccupation with rescuing others are often, not often, it's always about rescuing oneself.
Yes.
And what are we wanting to rescue ourselves from? Sitting with uncomfortable emotion a lot of the time. Seeing a dog or a horse or whatever it might be that is blind, causes us as a human to project our human, associations with blindness onto the animal.
Exactly.
The animal doesn't have those associations. One of my horses, a Clydesdale, when he came to me when he was young, he was coming up for 2. He was 18 months, and when he came to me, he had a historic eye infection that I didn't know about, and basically it burst, and he lost an eye.
Right.
And I've watched him, adapt to that situation. Wow. He's not doing the thing of, oh my God, this is dreadful. I've only got one eye, and he's not doing that, is he? It's like, okay, here I am. He's not doing the narrative around having one eye. That's us.
Yeah.
And we project, oh, poor horse, he's only got one eye. That's terrible, right? And it's a human.
Yeah. It's like that full exposure to the support of like, I think with animals, they find it just really natural to be completely who they are. And because they're completely, you could say, vulnerable or receptive or open, they are supported, because that's what the universe is. It supports. But I think we don't see that. So we don't realize that we've got that capacity.
Yeah, that's a really good point, actually. That's a good point. That's a very valuable response to someone who comes with that projection, is to offer them the idea that the animal is supported by the universe.
Yeah. And I think animals want to discover that.
It's a good one. Yeah.
They want to be. That reminds me of my other, the other thing that came through in this psychedelic experience that I had was that we have this gift, and it was related to the quantum. It kind of is the quantum leap, but our gift is to be that we can create. We are creators of our own reality, like 100%. So,
Yes.
so that means that if we choose to see love, then we'll see it everywhere, and if we choose to, it's entirely up to us. We can either receive that gift, or we can go on the other branch of the tree, which is like judgment. And it was funny because in the experience we went back through the stages. So it like started with judgment, and then went back to discernment, and then went back to observation, and then it went to like the other branch, which was, and now you can create. Now you can just choose yourself what you want to see. Literally anything, what, and I think it comes from your heart, obviously. But it's kind of, I think it's something that a lot, like few of us really, I feel like, because that was the other question that came up. Why don't we implement that more? Why do we always seem like we're on the edge of it, like we understand it, maybe the possibility of it, but we don't really implement it? And the answer was that that's where we are in our evolution as humans. We're at that juncture where we can choose or not to take the gift, to sort of receive the gift. And that's how it very much came across, that was the gift from God. God as in, it was funny because I don't feel it like this, but in this experience, God was very much it was like a young male personality. And I think that was just how it came through. But it was really fascinating.
Was it a mushroom that you had your journey with?
It was a truffle, rather than a mushroom, but it's the same. Yeah, it's the same chemical. It's the psilocybin chemical. For some reason they can sell the truffles, but they're only allowed to sell you a growing kit of the mushrooms.
So, all right.
It didn't,
Yeah.
Yeah. I enjoyed it though. I want to do it again. Not because I feel like it's not anything like a sort of because I didn't actually, the state of mind was quite challenging, like the state of being. It wasn't for me, it was not something you would do at a party or anything like that. It was something that you needed to be absolutely focused.
No, it's a very sacred thing. It's a very sacred undertaking. If you're gonna,
it was.
Ask a plant or anything to take you somewhere.
Yeah, it was really fascinating. I've done a video of it because I wanted to remember everything. But I don't know. That's probably not suitable for Soul Heart. I don't know. We'll see. So so have you got any further with your books, or you must have been pretty busy in America?
I have not got any further with that, no. I'm sorry to say. It will be on my...
It's a lot of work.
It'll be one of my New Year resolutions to get on with that. I've sent a couple of chapters to the young woman who looks after my website for me, and she is looking into producing it, as an ebook. So we're looking into the doing of that, but she only has the first 2 chapters at the moment. There's 8 more to send her way. So yeah, I really
Yeah.
do, really
Yeah.
do want to do that. But yeah, life is getting in the way.
Yeah.
It'll happen when it.
Yeah. But it sounds wonderful what you're doing with the
Yeah,
children.
yeah, 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 yeah.